here. So the frontal lobe, which we were talking about, where the executive functioning happens, it's this part of the brain. This pruning is what happens late in adolescence. So your child could be well 18, 19 and still now coming out of this part of the brain growing. So a lot of the poor decisions that you think they're making at 15, 16, that is really the brain shrinking. The research has shown that the brain shrinks in adolescence and then it
expands again.
full formation in terms of volume and weight. And we actually have they've done some research about gun violence as well, where they say that teenagers are more likely to move towards a violent interaction in those years as opposed to back away from a violent interaction. They actually gravitate towards that instead of thinking to themselves, this doesn't make sense, let me preserve my life.
Conversation shrinking too.
Like sports and what's not to keep them occupied. While it is shrinking, should it be actively?
Yes, I would recommend, and depending on the gender. I would definitely say depending on how your child is forming and what their domains and skill sets are. For my son, I involve him heavily in sports right now, but I force him to he doesn't like verbal conversations, but he's fine with written conversations.
Okay.
So it's fine if they're not talking to you and having some strong emotional connection right now. If he is willing to send you a few text messages a day telling you about what happened, that's actually okay. Communication is communication.
Correct.
And you have to allow him to communicate in the best way possible for him at this time. What is critical at this point is really, I'm going into another part of science, but this is going to help with social media. What is critical during this point for all of these lobes, honestly, is language. Language is important because it broadens and widens all of the synapses between these lobes and helps with connectivity. The way memories are formed and the way you execute essentially is you put them into buckets. How do you put things into buckets? You label it something. If you were to store things today or box things for storage, what are you going to do? You're going to box it and put a label on it and put it in the shelf. That is essentially how the brain works. In software, Gazi can talk about this, they call it coding. You code things, group it, and that's exactly how you put things away. So this is where you want to expand vocabulary as much as possible. You want to talk about terms, you want to talk about concepts, you want to talk about what I call cultural memes, which is they actually have memes in social media right now. But you want to expand their understanding, broaden their scope on different things so they have different perspectives to pull from, and then the connectivity in this area is greater. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so we're on to 4. So in this module, we're going to be talking about sensory processing, stimulus activation, attention, processing in general. That essentially is processing related to information and response to stimulus, all of which is important to social media. Okay, sensory processing. Back to your accountability. So I will stop for a few seconds and spend a little time on this. This is these are your sensory windows, right? Smell is here, touch is up here, taste is right in here, vision is way back here.
Wow.
Hearing along this lobe right here. When I talked about imaging and what we study in the machine for like what areas are activated, when we put the kids through a different task, those areas light up for those things. You are responsible for what goes in the eye gate, the ear gate. That's all you. You own this territory right here.
Okay.
So there's never a place where you're saying, I'm not sure where they got that from. I'm not sure how they started processing like that. You should be fully aware of how these things are entering into
their
your child's mind space.
When they're at school and among their peers, and they're being influenced and stuff that you have no
Yeah, Jofa.
So I have a question about that. Can I ask a question in response to that? If I came in this room with a really stinky tuna fish sandwich that was sitting in my car for 2 days, and I sat it on this table, and I tried to have a seminar, what would you do?
Get rid of it. Or get rid of you.
You would
Or leave.
politely raise your hand and say, excuse me, there's something that smells off, can we get rid of that? So, that's a conversation in my house. My children tell me, almost every child in public school in New York City curses. Our
Ooh.
friends know not to curse around us. Because when we smell the stench of those obscene words, we ask them to put it out.
Cool.
You don't give your authority away. And so I'm happy that you're asking these questions because it will guide you into how, in the way that you teach them to manage themselves
When you're
in
not
these
there.
scenarios, right? We cannot allow them to think that they've lost power.
Mm.
Your children get to decide who comes into their space. They decide, and they learn that model from you. This is what we tolerate, this is what we do, this is what we don't do.
Okay. Cool.
Alright, so those are your sensory windows.